I feel like I have not filmed one of these in years because it's been 2 months, but today I am back with an important topic, that topic being SSERAFIM. And I am so excited. I'm so delighted to be sitting here discussing SSERAFIM because here's the thing. I feel like if you've seen enough of these, specifically the recent ones, if you've seen enough of them, you'll know these videos are essentially my excuse to sit here for a couple hours and go a little bit crazy, okay? Go a little bit crazy, really not even for a couple hours, for a couple weeks, okay? I usually spend 2 weeks taking notes, another week making the slideshow, and then I sit down and I film and I edit. And up until really the end of recording, my editing, I'm normal by then. But up until this moment, I just get to go crazy. I get to enter psychosis, and it's a delightful experience. And I'm so excited. I'm so elated. I'm so excited because I get to talk about SSERAFIM. More importantly, I get to talk about SSERAFIM's music. I feel like we as a society do not give their music enough credit, okay? I feel like their music deserves way more hype than it gets. They have songs on their albums that have me foaming at the mouth, that have me climbing the walls and screaming my head off, and Lord knows there will be screaming. I will be screaming about these girls and their music, and I'm just so delighted to get into all of it. But first, before I go crazy for your viewing pleasure, we have to do shoutouts, okay? I have to give credit where credit is due. And that means that starting us off, we have the one and only Smoky Glow, Madam Smoky Glow, if you will. She's an icon. She used to make these evolution of videos. She's a YouTuber. I should have started there. She's a YouTuber. I'd say was, because she hasn't really posted a lot for the past several years now, actually. I was looking back at her channel recently, and I was like, damn, it's been a minute since she was like a truly consistent poster. But either way, she was a YouTuber. She used to make these evolution on videos that are my original inspiration, okay? I know the concept of a deep dive on the internet, on YouTube alone, is not an original concept to her. I know that. It's not original to, at this point, I would love to know who was like the evolutioner. I feel like Jenny Nicholson was somehow involved, but I can't even be sure of that at this point. Either way, the point is, her evolution offs were great. She would take YouTubers and makeup companies and dive into their history, and they're what inspired. They were my inspiration to start making these really long videos, which means that she gets to be here. She gets to be in the shoutout slide. I will put her channel and her evolution of playlist in the description. Watch them if you so choose. They're a very interesting time. Next, we have the bestie. Me and the bestie are actually beefing. At this moment, she doesn't know that, and I will be over it by the time I get to really finishing recording, but we are currently in this second beefing because she ditched me to watch The Mariners. Yeah. She did ditch me. We weren't gonna hang out. I texted her being like, do you want to go for a walk? And she was like, no, I have to watch The Mariners. So we're beefing now. We're beefing now. But either way, the bestie is an icon and a legend who tolerates me to no end and is also the one who told me to make these as slideshows. She still gets a shout out even if we are beefing. Lastly, we have Bean. Bean actually did also blow me off today. We usually talk every Thursday. And Bean decided not to talk to me today. She did text me in advance and was like, Simey, I'm busy. And I was like, it's okay, Bean. I'm also kind of busy. But either way, Bean is an icon and a legend, and dare I say the light of my life. She tolerates me in a distinctive way simply because she does not care about K-pop. Not even a little bit. And yet she is, without fail, the #1 supporter of my YouTube channel. Okay? Like, both emotionally and, like, viewingly. She watches these videos. She does not care about these videos. She probably doesn't know who SSERAFIM is. She probably couldn't tell you a single thing about them, but Lord knows she will be here watching me give her hype. So Bean, I love you. We better talk next week though, or we will also be beefing. Last thing before I can begin SSERAFIM focusing, if you will, is disclaimers. I don't trust you to be normal. I'm so sorry. I have lived experience that SSERAFIM fans can't be normal. I made a Yodatengu video at this point, like a year ago. I think I made it in January. I want to say that feels right. I made a Yodatengu video. And it was my Yodatengu deep dive. It's like this, but for Yodatengu, because I love Yodatengu. And I made a deep dive for them. And there were SSERAFIM fans in my comments being like, no, because Yodatengu were flops. And it's good they disbanded because then we got SSERAFIM instead. And frankly, you're wrong, both morally and psychologically. If you believe that with your whole soul, you can fucking choke. We're actually going to start by disclaimers at the bottom, which is opinions at times. I am an opinionated girl. And I think we've already established at this point in the video, I will be sharing those opinions. I will not be scared of offending you. I will be telling you my stance on things. So here's the thing with SSERAFIM in this moment, specifically this disclaimer's existence, is that if you are scared of me looking you in the eye and telling you that SSERAFIM has some songs that are bad, you should leave now. You should leave now. SSERAFIM has fantastic songs. SSERAFIM has songs that I love. And they have songs that I hate. And I will be discussing both of them with equal amounts of emotion, and we need to be okay with that. Anyway, now jumping back to the top, I'm not covering everything. SSERAFIM has a lot of shit in their timeline, and it's a lot of shit that I don't care about. If I don't think it's important to their history, or if I find it boring, I skip it. Okay? I never cover everything in these videos, and we all need to learn to accept that, because without fail, all the time, I get comments from people being like, you forgot this thing. You forgot this, like, obscure, to them important thing, and I'm like, that was boring. That was boring. I don't care. I don't cover everything. We're having a beverage break. For today's beverage, I usually drink Red Bulls with these. I've been trying to wean off Red Bull. It is a 0 sugar and W. These are actually quite nice. I do enjoy them. I'll sip this in a second. The last thing that I need to talk about on this slide is that HYBE is the worst. We hate HYBE in this house, okay? If you have taste, you hate that fucking yellow company. HYBE is like the demon of K-pop to me. One day I'm going to make a HYBE deep dive, I swear to God, and it will be titled The Demon of K-pop, because HYBE has only made things worse. I could actually like write a dissertation about this. How K-pop pre-HYBE being big was a much better industry, like creatively, than it is now. I could defend this stance with my life. We're not going to. I'm not going to. That's not what this video is. This video is about SSERAFIM, but SSERAFIM's relevance is that HYBE sucks. HYBE is the worst, and I hate them. And when I express that, we all need to know that I am right and I am correct. I do not have opinions, I have facts. Since we have already discovered disclaimer number 3, it means that it is now member time, okay? It is now time to talk about the members of SSERAFIM, and in order to pretend we're normal and unbiased, as always, I go in age order because it lets me pretend that I'm sane. Also, actually, before I begin, SSERAFIM is like those other HYBE groups, pretty much all HYBE groups in the modern day, in the sense that they don't have positions, at least officially speaking. There is no official main vocal of SSERAFIM, okay? And the last time I guessed it why, or I commented on my theories as to why, I got yelled at. I got yelled at in the comments. So I'm going to keep my concepts about how it's because HYBE only cares about looks and doesn't care about talent, and I'm going to keep those thoughts to myself. And we're just going to talk about the members, and you're going to have to accept that they don't have official positions. Anyway, starting us off, our first member to discuss is the one and only Sakura. She was born on March 19th, 1998. Who's ready for an insane fact? Who's ready for a diabolical fun fact? Did you know that Sakura, who debuted at 24, okay, she was 24 years old when she debuted in SSERAFIM. Okay, did you know that makes her the oldest debut in HYBE in more than a decade? She was the oldest HYBE debut since Glam at the time. Glam, for the unaware, I believe debuted in 2010 or 2011, something like that. They debuted before Valentine, so we're talking at least 2012. It's just, you gotta love a company that just exclusively debuts teenagers. To be fair, Sakura has lived 82 lives before joining SSERAFIM. She's had a long and storied career that began at age 10. Began at age 10 when she made her musical theater debut. She would then really pick up steam in 2011 when she joined HKT48, a spin-off of AKB48, I think. I don't know, AKB48 really confuses me. When Produce 48 started airing, I was really confused by it, and I did try and figure it out. And at some point I gave up. At some point I remember spending like 2 hours on their Wikipedia page, leaving still really confused how it worked, and going about my day. But either way, she was in that group for years. Like years and years. From what I can tell, she was very popular in that group, but that knocks out like the first 20 lives of Sakura's life. Then, famously, she went on Produce 48. This is her from Produce 48. Where she did exceedingly well as well. She would finish the show in 2nd place, securing her lineup in Eyes 1. This accounts for the next, I'm going to say 2 lives of Sakura. She was in Eyes 1 until they disbanded in 2021, and like all the other Eyes 1 former members, there were a lot of eyes on her Okay, there were a lot of eyes waiting to see what she was gonna do next, which were only exacerbated when she would leave HKT48 and AKB48 that June before it was finally announced that she was gonna be in LE SSERAFIM, bringing us to her present life. Also, if anyone thought I was exaggerating when I said that she had 82 lives before joining LE SSERAFIM, not commented on lives that I think are funny that I will bring up in this moment. Item 1, she ran a makeup company for like a year, or at least was like the face. She had a brand though, like it was her company. So it was her brand, she had that for like a year. She also had a gaming YouTube channel for a bit. Like, I was not joking, she has lived so many lives. Now that was a lot. It was a lot of Sakura to discuss, and I'm only going to give her one fun fact, because she had a lot of pre-debut lore. Admittedly, she has the most pre-debut lore, and I don't mean of LE SSERAFIM. I do low-key mean of any K-pop idol ever. Like, I would be hard-pressed to think of one with more pre-debut lore. But either way, that was a lot for her, so she gets one fun fact. You ready for her one fun fact? Her one fun fact is this. She is a self-admittedly bad at sports. I love that for her. We love a relatable queen. On to the next member, who still has a lot of pre-debut lore, but like a manageable amount. Like, we're talking 3 pre-debut lives. And that is, of course, the one and only Kim Cheon, who also has an official position. She is the leader of the group, and she was born on August 1st, 2000. However, she does have pre-debut lore. As I said, she lived 3 lives before debut. The one we're going to focus on is her time on Produce 48. She was also in IZ*ONE. More importantly, she would finish the show in 10th place. Also, this is important to me. She represented Ulim on Produce 48, and here's the thing. I would like us to take a moment and imagine, okay, that we got into Ulim Entertainment, and we left Ulim Entertainment to go to HYBE. That is a crapshoot if ever there was one. She is lucky as hell that LE SSERAFIM doesn't make like the worst music known to man. That is not a guarantee when you go to a HYBE company. So like, she's lucky, because imagine leaving Ulim. Undeniably the best catalog in K-pop, right? Like, musically speaking, the best catalog in K-pop. The level of quality that company pumped out for like all of the 2010s is diabolical. Imagine leaving that, and you go to HYBE. Literally could not be me. I'd say it's because I can't sing. But we know HYBE doesn't care about that. The actual reason is that I have a fully formed brain. I am over the age of 18. The actual average age of a HYBE debut, I actually mapped this shit out. I did. I took time out of my day to map out the average age of a HYBE debut. Here's my findings. I'm taking this time to tell you my findings. I did the math. I have to share it. Since TOXT, or starting with TOXT, HYBE has debuted 40 idols in Korea. Okay? The average age of that debuting idol was 17.75. Gotta love a company that exclusively debuts teenagers. We are getting sidetracked. Let's get back to Cheon. Okay, Cheon fun facts. Fun fact number 1, she's the daughter of a theater actress. I love that for her. Fun fact number 2, she is a ballad girl. I also love that for her. And fun fact number 3 is that she is one of many idols to have said their favorite ice cream flavor is the factually correct and morally superior mint chocolate chip. And this time, I was normal with this information. This time I did not buy an entire pint and eat it in the span of a week. And we should all be proud of me for that. Where are my applause? While you're clapping, let me tell you about her time at Ulim. Because as I mentioned, she was at Ulim. More importantly, while she was at Ulim, she played the female lead in the music video for Let Me by Golden Child. If you didn't know this about me, I love Golden Child. I love specifically Let Me by Golden Child. It is, I think, very possibly my favorite of their songs. And I just had to share that because if I bring up Golden Child, it abates the demons. The demons have been calling for 3 things as of late, okay? The demons are calling for a history of 6, a history of Golden Child, and a history of Infinite. That is what the demons want. I'm staving them off. Now that the demons have been satisfied, we can move on and talk about Hyunjin. She was born on October 8th, 2001, meaning her birthday was like a week ago. Happy birthday. Hyunjin, to be fair, did appear on Produce 48. Do not think we are free of pre-debut lore. She was also on Produce 48. She did not make it into IZ*ONE. She also represented Pledis before HYBE bought them. I do assume HYBE bought Pledis, and then after that purchase moved her over to Source, so she could be in the SSERAFIM. That's my theory. I cannot prove it. However, Pledis was not her only stop. She also trained at SM before that. She's friends with aespa. She trained with aespa and is still friends with them. I love that for her. Other fun facts include she wanted to be a field hockey player as a child. Interesting dream. I respect it. She also can sing opera. Like, she's a trained opera singer. I wish that would come out more. I wish that like in SSERAFIM's music, we just took like a weird interlude and let her have an operatic arc. I think that could be fun. She's also the composer of the group. I feel like in the modern day of K-pop, every group has at least one member that's like really into making music. That's her. She's like making music ever since she was a little kid and has released a couple of solo songs that we will get to eventually. For now though, let's talk about Kaza. Kaza was born on August 9th, 2003 and is our ballerina. No, you did not mishear me. She is a trained ballerina. She is an icon. Okay? She is a legend in her time. As part of her pre-debut lives, she's lived in Moscow, Amsterdam, London, all to like train as a ballerina. And she was actually pretty successful from what I can tell. I think from my understanding, she is good as ballerina. She's won international competitions and domestic competitions, so good for her. Other Kazaha fun facts. First and foremost, she is blind girl. She is glasses wearer. I am glasses wearer. She is glasses wearer. We see each other through glasses. Okay, other fun facts, she stretches a lot. Obviously, she is flexible. I do believe this is a holdover from her time as a ballerina. Here's why I have this theory. My boss is a former ballerina and she also stretches a lot. So I assume it's that, although I am like 40% sure my boss does not notice half the time she does it. Next we have our former member, Kim Garam. Garam was born on November 16th, 2006. Garam would leave SSERAFIM almost immediately. Like right after they debuted, she would leave. It was a whole thing. We'll get to it. First though, let's do some fun facts. Fun fact number 1, she was in the Drunk Days music video. Fun fact number 2, her favorite movie is Frozen. And fun fact number 3, she is left-handed. I frankly have like nothing else to tell you about her. I feel almost bad, but like she debuted and then immediately disappeared and like vanished from the public eye. I don't know what else to tell. Actually, I do know what else to tell you. People are fucking weird about her. People are fucking weird about her because here's the thing. I will every like month or two be on Twitter and someone will tweet out a picture of her, like a real-time picture of her and be like, guys, she was spotted. And I'm like, why are we stalking an 18-year-old? Why are we stalking an 18-year-old? Why are we following this girl around, taking pictures of her at her high school graduation? Why is that something I'm now being shown? All of this is bad. No good vibes. All bad. Alert. I must make a correction. I realized this in real time for a reason we'll get to in a second. But I realized I was wrong. Her birthday is in 2005. Day is correct. Year is wrong. Her birthday is in 2005. We are now stalking a 19-year-old. Still weird. Still leave her alone, please. Okay, glad we cleared that up. Now let's get into our final member, Ms. Hong Eun-jae. She was born on November 10, 2006 and does also have an official position. That position being maknae. Eun-jae is like our only remaining member with no pre-debut lives. Which, thank God for that. So we can just do fun facts. Fun fact number 1, she auditioned at JYP. She didn't get in. They did reject her, but even so, she was there and she didn't make friends. She is sociable and made friends. She is currently friends with members of ITZY and NMIXX, so good for her. Also, she was inspired to be an idol by 17. Interesting. I see it actually, looking at her age. She would have been like 10 when they got big. Yeah, that feels right. Also, she had a guinea pig. Listen, should I get a guinea pig? I've been thinking about getting a guinea pig. Should I get a guinea pig? Anyway, that is all our members. We have covered them all, and now we may begin the timeline, the history of SSERAFIM. Admittedly, there is not much pre-debut lore to cover, but our tale does begin pre-debut. We begin in March of 2022, when rumors would begin to circulate that Source Music, having recently been purchased by HYBE, would be debuting their first girl group since that purchase. This is followed by normal stuff, okay? It was normal teasers, normal images and whatnot. I don't care about it, okay? I find it kind of boring, especially now. Like a teaser period will last a month and a half and then you'll get 2 weeks of promotion. It's boring, but it happened next and we're gonna skip it. Instead, we're gonna jump ahead. We're gonna jump ahead to May 2nd, when SSERAFIM would make their official debut with Fearless, their first mini album and its lead single of the same name. And right off the bat, this album did incredibly well. Okay, it became the highest selling debut album by a girl group in its first week sales at the time. It sold 350,000 copies in its first week. It also beat the number 2 on the charts. It was beaten out by Im Young-wook's Full, which does feel accurate. You are not beating that man with your debut. But you may notice that 350,000, that's just first week sales. Okay, it would continue to sell, obviously. Current sales for this album sit at around 570,000 copies, making it one of the highest selling K-pop debut albums of all time, and earning the group a double platinum certification. On top of that, it did great in Japan too. It sold 50,000 copies over there and peaked at number 3 on the Japanese charts. And then there's the lead single. Fearless is a hit in its own right. Like, it outshone the album by miles. Okay, this thing was massive when it came out. Fearless would peak at number 9 on the Gaon charts and number 8 on the Melon charts, making them one of the few groups to have earned a top 10 on both charts with their debut. But not only did this song have a strong peak, this song had insane longevity. It would chart for 70 weeks, okay? By the time it dropped off the charts, we were fully in summer of 2023. This thing charted forever. This thing charted forever. It is to this day one of the longest charting debut songs by a K-pop group. Plus, it would pick up 4 music show wins and earn the group a platinum certification from the Circle charts, meaning that it has cleared 100 million streams. So domestically speaking, we're definitely talking about a major hit. Now, let's talk international numbers, because would it surprise you to learn that Fearless was wildly popular internationally as well? The music video for the song has more than 200 million views, okay? And that, by the way, doesn't include the 165-ish million that the audio track has on its own. So we're talking lots of views. But that is nothing compared to Spotify, where the song has 400 million streams. Now, we could talk about HYBE and Spotify. We could. I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to tell you that even if HYBE theoretically and hypothetically, in my opinion, and in Minecraft, does buy streams, 400 million is still a crazy number to have. In short, though, as a whole, Fearless was massive, okay? Fearless was huge. Fearless was pulling in numbers that you could only dream of getting with your debut, even if you were from a major label. The latest SM girl groups have not pulled in these numbers with their debut. The latest JYP girl group did not pull in these numbers with their debut. The latest YG girl groups did not pull in these numbers with their debut. You can only hope, pray to any god you can think of that you can get these numbers, and Fearless was doing it. But now that I've talked about Fearless as a commercial venture, let's talk about Fearless as a song. Okay, here's the thing with Fearless, and specifically with me. I didn't like the song when it came out. My review of this album is still up on my channel. You can go back to watch it if you so choose. It will attest to my statements. I didn't like the song when it came out. Nowadays, in the modern day, not 23-year-old Simon, 26-year-old Simon, I really like the song. It has grown on me tremendously. It's definitely a lot slower than what other groups were doing at the time, and at the time, I did not like that. But in the modern day, like sitting here looking back on it with my fully formed brain, I think it's really fucking cool. I actually really like Fearless. I think, like, you compare Fearless to what came out at the same time as it, right? And you're talking about songs like Sneakers by ITZY, Teddy Bear by Stacey, anything by aespa, really. It's just songs that have such different vibes. And then you have Fearless, which is like toned down still, but it's still really cool, and it still hits perfectly. And the thing is, it's not just the title. The Fearless album is actually really good. Let's start with the intro song, okay? If you watched my HYBE video, you will know exactly what I'm about to say. But I'm gonna repeat it for SSERAFIM because it actually applies to both of them. Here's the thing. Like in HYBE, every SSERAFIM album begins with a spoken intro with what is typically, objectively, really good music. Like excellent music accompanying the spoken intro. And I never listen to it. I don't care about it. I'm never gonna talk about any of the intros on any of these albums ever again. Now let's start I don't wanna say the real songs, that feels mean to the intro, but the songs that I will be discussing, okay? We're gonna start with Society's least favorite, which is The Great Mermaid. Here's my thing with the song. I like it conceptually. I think it was cool in concept and in theory. I do like the pre-chorus. The thing is the music. The music just needed to be quieter. I like it as a concept. I don't love the execution. There is also Sour Grapes, the album's closer, and it's very fine. I really want to say it's super New Jeans core, but the thing is, New Jeans didn't exist at the time. There was no New Jeans when this song came out, which means I guess it's just, I don't know what to call it. This would have fit perfectly on the New Jeans album. And here's the thing. If you know me, you'll know, while this album, the Fearless album, I also did not like when it came out, it has grown on me a lot. New Jeans' album has not. The New Jeans album, like their debut EP, New Jeans, it has not grown on me. I don't like that album very much. And this would fit perfectly on there. Do with these two statements what you wish. Now let's talk about my Golden Bee side. Okay, let's talk about the song I love. Let's talk about Blue Flame. Here's the thing. You may have noticed this entire discussion. The big words, the Golden B-side, are on this side. And that's because this slide and this song are the Golden B-side. The Golden B-side isn't a word I made up. It is exclusively made up by me, and it is given to my favorite song on an album. That is an important distinction. Okay? There will be albums in the future where I do not think my favorite song is the best song. The award goes to my favorite song, not the best song. Me and the bestie have thought about this at length. I stand by I'm right. And Blue Flame is so fucking good. It's this cool, funky, excellent song. Like, this is the song that when I like really locked in, I was like, there's something special here. This is the song that had me be like, there's something special in this group, and I need to pay attention to them. Also, since I am here, and I do know that at least one bitch would be mad about it, if you thought their Spotify numbers were exclusive to the title, you are wrong. This whole album went a little crazy. Both Sour Grapes and Blue Flame are at over 100 million streams. Sour Grapes has 220 million. Okay? Like, Sour Grapes, a B-side off their debut album, was pulling in numbers that your average K-pop group would dream of getting with their lead single. Also, if anyone thought I was mean when I called The Great Mermaid Society's least favorite LE SSERAFIM title, that song has 40 million streams. So I was right. I was right. No one streamed it. Anyway, now that I've talked about Fearless, the album, the phenomenon, okay? We talked about the numbers. We talked about the music. We've talked about it all. Now let's talk about what was going on societally at the time, because LE SSERAFIM managed to pick up a scandal before they even debuted. See, for those who forgot, or simply just weren't around or paying attention or whatever, in the time between when Source Music started announcing the members and Fearless actually came out, Garam got called out for being a school bully and all-around awful human being. That feels mean. Who among us wasn't an awful human being when we were like 14? Okay, I was. I won't even deny I was a terrible fucking person at 14. Either way. Garam was like a child. HYBE, the company of adults, is the one I really want to focus on, because they handled this interestingly, to say the least. Their first move was to deny. Okay, they denied it all immediately. They said Garam was actually the victim of the bullying. They also then started threatening to sue people. A very normal move to do. It's even more interesting when I point out that, like 2 weeks after that, they pulled Garam from the group. Okay, she was originally put on hiatus. I do have to assume they were just gonna kind of see if the rumors died down. I want to say kicked her out. She officially left the group a couple months after that. And the thing is, the scandal did, like, actively limit LE SSERAFIM, right? Like, there have been dumb scandals in K-pop that, A, I don't care about, and more importantly, no one else really fucking cared about. This one did actually, like, limit their success, which is crazy when I remind you that Fearless was a massive hit. Because the thing is, Fearless didn't really start popping off until after Garam got put on hiatus. Do with that what you will. That said, the scandal did kind of put a damper on things for the first couple of months of LE SSERAFIM, so we are going to fast forward a little bit. Okay, August 9th, we got our first Yoonjin solo song with Razor Glass. It's fine. It's fine. I know there's a lot of people out there who are like really passionate about Yoonjin's solo songs, specifically the first few. And the thing is, I felt the need to talk about them. And my issue with that is that I don't care about them very much. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're bad songs. I have heard much worse songs from a HYBE solo artist from one of their 4th gen groups. He says as Yeonjun announced a full album today. I'm terrified. But the thing is, like, she sounds nice. She sounds pretty. But, like, the song itself just isn't that engaging to me. I do feel a little mean. Like, every time. Because the thing is, like, you know she worked hard on these songs. And this one in particular was meant to celebrate LE SSERAFIM's 100th day of debut or whatever. And, like, I feel mean when I critique her songs. But, like, they're not that exciting to me. It's fine. It's fine because September got us the announcement that LE SSERAFIM, as a group, as a 5-member group, was working on new music. And we got our taste of that music on October 17th when they would release Anti-Fragile. their second mini. And I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. We need to talk about the song. We need to talk about Anti-Fragile, the song, right now. I love this song. I'm crazy about this song. Like, I Stand By Blue Flame was a song that had me, like, lock in a little bit. Anti-Fragile is a song where I bought in. Like, this is a song that sold me on the SSERAFIM. Anti-Fragile is just incredible. Okay, it's this Messy Boots fun pop song with arguably, and dare I say, the best beat we will ever get from the SSERAFIM in a single, if not in their catalog. Actually, that's a lie. I'm not going to say in their catalog, certainly in a title track, because it's so fun, it's so catchy, and we'll come back to that. I've shaken so much ass to this, okay? The amount of ass I have shaken to Anti-Fragile the song is impossible to quantify. It's all the ass. All the ass you can imagine me shaking has been shaken to this song. But remember how I said it's catchy? Let's circle back to the hook. This hook is fantastic. This is the best hook we've ever gotten in a HYBE song. I dare you to prove me wrong. Because here's the thing. This hook lives in my mind at all times. There's not a day that goes by where someone said the word anti-anything to me that this song isn't playing. It happens all the time. Every day of my life is an endless struggle to fight the demons that are Anti-Fragile's hook playing on a loop in my mind. And I am not alone, okay? The world and I, we are on the same page. Because the thing is, Anti-Fragile is arguably the biggest hit SSERAFIM has ever put out. And if nothing else, even if you want to debate their biggest hit, it, if nothing else, has the highest digital score on the Gaon charts, with a score of more than 700 million points. And in case you couldn't tell from that score, this thing charted like crazy, okay? It peaked at number 2 on the Gaon charts and at number 2 on the Melon charts. A vast improvement from their already very strong peak with their debut. And in addition to that peak, it kept the longevity, okay? It not only outpeaked, it charted for more than 60 weeks, meaning the first 2 SSERAFIM singles both charted for over a year. On top of that, it would earn SSERAFIM their second platinum certification for clearing 100 million streams domestically, meaning, again, both of their first 2 songs have picked up that certification. Then there's the international numbers. Because here's the thing, we can fight over what is SSERAFIM's biggest domestic hit. There are other songs that you could make strong cases for. That is not true for international numbers. This is without a doubt their biggest hit outside of Korea. Anti-Fragile is, to this day, their most streamed song on Spotify. It has more than 600 million streams. It is leading that, like, the gap between number 1 and number 2 is more than 150 million streams. I do believe it's going to remain number 1, at least for a while. It is also their most viewed music video. It has more than 260 million views on the music video. Okay, like with Fearless, the audio track alone went a little crazy. It has 230 million, meaning if you combine YouTube, both the audio track and the music video, and Spotify, we are talking more than 1 billion streams, basically. Anti-Fragile was a massive hit. It was a monster of a hit. It is, again, like with Fearless, the type of numbers you dream of doing. The type of numbers you would sacrifice a goat to do. Okay, those are the type of numbers we're talking. And Anti-Fragile really did cement SSERAFIM as a major player in the girl group industry, because the thing is, their status is weird. And it fascinates me, but we're going to get to that in a minute. For now, though, let's talk about this album. Let's talk about sales numbers for the album. Because the thing is, the Anti-Fragile album was not as crazy as the single, but it still did pop the fuck off, okay? It sold 600,000 copies in its first week and peaked at number 2 on the Gaon charts. And it had competition. This album came out the same week as Giddle released I Love, which is their nude album. These two were separated by 20,000 copies. The SSERAFIM almost beat out Giddle with their first comeback. And again, that is only the first week sales. Current sales sit at around 1.2 million copies, making this the oldest SSERAFIM album to have cleared 1 million sales. But just like with Fearless, there are international numbers to discuss. In Japan, it actually went number 1, earning SSERAFIM their first number 1 album in Japan, far from their last, but their first, and sold 75,000 copies there. While in the US, it would actually debut on the Billboard 200 at number 14 and sold around 30,000 copies here. Now that we've covered numbers, let's talk music, because Anti-Fragile was not the only song of this album. There were other songs here, and I have feelings about them. Impurities is nice and chill. If I said Sour Grapes was their throwaway from like the New Jeans debut album, this is their sort of Get Up coded single. And I love the Get Up EP. So I really like this one. I do. I put it on, I vibe, it's a nice time. Good Parts, I'm not reading the whole title, but Good Parts is fine. It is fine. I don't feel that strongly about it. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I like it thematically in the album. I think it's cute and sweet. I just don't care for it in a crazy person way. Now let's talk about my golden B-side. If you've been looking at the track list, you will know No Celestial is our golden B-side. And I'm fucking obsessed with this song. I really am. Here's the thing. If you know me, and you know what I like in music, this should not be a shock to you. It is a pop punk banger with a slay guitar. That's my kryptonite. Okay, I am a child of the 2000s. A pop punk moment is always gonna hit for me, and Lord does this one hit. I love this song. I listen to this song all the time. Maybe not all the time anymore, but certainly when it came out that I listened to it all the time. It's so good. It's so fun, and it's so messy. Boots. I feel like this album, well, really just Anti-Fragile and No Celestial, but it was messy boots. It was fun. It was chaotic. I love it. Last thing for 2022. Closing out the year, SSERAFIM would drop Fearless as a Japanese digital single in December. And it did great. It was a hit. It would earn SSERAFIM a streaming certification in Japan at one point. It did well. We will be circling back to her though. But that is all for 2022. We have finished the year, and I think it's time for a break. I think it's time to take a little moment to look back, a little retrospective.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the retrospective corner. For those who are new here, for the unaware, I just like to end, when I do these videos, I like to end every year with just a little retrospective. So we can look back at the year, we do the highlights, we do the big things. It's sort of like the mini version of the history of, not that you would really get the gist of my videos by just watching her. I'm explaining this poorly. I'm gonna sit down here at the end of every year, and we're recapping the year lightning round. And here's the thing about SSERAFIM, specifically in 2022, is they were huge. I feel like I sometimes had to remind myself when I was making this video that SSERAFIM were really popular at the time because they were constantly overshadowed. Here's the thing, when I think of like a big fourth gen girl groups, I think of them as coming in three real waves, okay? Wave one to me is like Giddle, Eyes One, ITZY, right? Like those are the OG big third gen girl groups. Then we get the middle tier, or the middle, not tier, the mid era, I guess we'll call it, which is basically just Stacey and aespa. I was trying to think of a third because trios were so much nicer, and I straight up could not think of a third big fourth gen girl group that debuted around that time, so they get nobody. And then there's Wave 3, right? Wave 3 starts with IVE, then you get SSERAFIM, and you close it out with New Jeans. And that's where the issue arises. The issue arises with Wave 3, because the thing is, SSERAFIM is perfectly sandwiched between IVE and New Jeans. And SSERAFIM was massive, right? We've established SSERAFIM was very popular, but they were not as popular as IVE or New Jeans, even at their peak. Like, even peak SSERAFIM is never going to go blow for blow with IVE or New Jeans at the time. And that's where the issue arises, because by comparison, they're sandwiched between them, right? IVE debuted 6 months later, we got SSERAFIM, and then a few months after that, we got New Jeans. And IVE and New Jeans had such massive debuts that even though SSERAFIM's debut was really big, really successful, by comparison, it looks like they were underperforming. Plus, you throw in the fact that 2022 saw Giddle becoming really massive. 2023 had the aespa renaissance. Like, at no point in time was SSERAFIM ever on top. I feel like every other major girl group that I talked about, except maybe like Eyes One and Stacey, but certainly ITZY, aespa, Giddle, IVE, New Jeans, all of them had their eras where like they were the #1 girl group, right? They all had that time. And SSERAFIM never had that. SSERAFIM never had that moment where they were those bitches, where they were the top girl group. Even in what I would argue is their peak popularity-wise, like the peak of SSERAFIM, the #1 song at the time was IVE. So like, even at their strongest, they never had that moment where, like, they were that girl group. I actually, true fact, almost reused the name from my Block B video, A Group Overshadowed, because it does feel accurate to LE SSERAFIM. LE SSERAFIM was constantly being overshadowed by these other girl groups, and it was at the most prevalent in 2022. LE SSERAFIM debuted when Love Dive came out. LE SSERAFIM entered the scene when arguably AS's biggest hit had just dropped and just gone #1, right? You think about Anti-Fragile, and that came out at the end of 2022 when HYBE started popping out, and LE SSERAFIM had released After Like, and Ghetto released Nude the same week. There was always someone. There was always someone there. I don't want to say who stole LE SSERAFIM's thunder, because that implies it was theirs to steal, but, like, there was always someone there where, like, you could always point to someone else who was doing better at the same time and be like, but LE SSERAFIM can't be that big, because look at Gil. I feel like that's my main thing with 2022, actually, if we think about LE SSERAFIM, because it does sort of set the scene going forward. This is not a new issue for LE SSERAFIM. LE SSERAFIM always, and without fail, I don't want to say they timed their era so poorly, but it's like they're always coming back when there's a bigger girl group also releasing music within like 2 weeks. Every time. They are constantly being overshadowed. And it's so fascinating to look at for me in making this video, because when I think about like the timeline of LE SSERAFIM, I'll think about Anti-Fragile and I'm like, yeah, Anti-Fragile's massive, right? Wrong, because at the same time, it was when all these other things were happening, and it's existing in the context of all the other music that came out around it, and that does sort of poison the perception that I personally have of it. This could just be a me thing. You could all sit there staring at your screens and being like, you're fucking stupid. We all knew what was going on at the time. Maybe it's just a me thing. But, like, I feel like every time I perceive LE SSERAFIM, I perceive them in a lesser sense than they deserve, simply because they were constantly being overshadowed by bigger artists. But LE SSERAFIM was huge. Like, that's my core thing of this retrospective, is like, LE SSERAFIM was still huge in 2022, and they would only get bigger. So let's go talk about 2023.
Alrighty, welcome to 2023. The first full year of LE SSERAFIM, and dare I say, the year of LE SSERAFIM. And LE SSERAFIM did not waste time. They very quickly graced us with more music with choices. This is another Japanese song. This is another Japanese digital single. It was an OST. More accurate. But Choices is fun. It starts slower, but it picks up. And by the time we get to the chorus, I love it. I really do. Like, the music there is so good. It really is some of the best music we've gotten from LE SSERAFIM at this point in their career. Around the same time, we got Yoonjin's second solo single with I Do Not Equal Doll. Okay? That's how I read this as a mathematician. I Do Not Equal Doll. And the thing is, I said that I appreciated Yoonjin's first solo single more than I liked it. That is true for this one as well. I didn't love that one, but I could tolerate it. I hate this song. And the thing is, for starters, that like I appreciate more than I like, that's true for like all of her work. But this song in particular, it's like, it's a good message, right? It's about how she feels like she is too ugly to be an idol, and the destructive ways that the beauty standard could have on people. It's good. It's a good message. It's an important song. I just wish she executed it better. We're just gonna move on now that I've offended probably all the Yoonjin sets. I do like her, is the thing. I do think she can make good music. I just don't think it's like she's the only one. Like, anyway, we need to move on before I get attacked. Fearless, the single. Let's get back to Fearless. Remember how I said we'd be circling back to Fearless? We're circling back to Fearless. At the end of January, LE SSERAFIM took Fearless, that had already been released as a Japanese digital single, the newly released Choices, threw on a Japanese version of Blue Flame, and released it as their first Japanese single album. And this thing did phenomenally well, okay? Like, LE SSERAFIM had a hit with Fearless as a song, but this is when they really, like, cemented their hold in Japan. This thing sold 300,000 copies in the first week. First week sales, 300,000 copies. Its current sales sit at around 500,000 copies and has picked up a double platinum certification. Jumping ahead to March, LE SSERAFIM held their first fan meet with Fear Nada. It would be on March 18th and 19th and sold out in like 5 minutes, okay? LE SSERAFIM was already wildly popular, in case you'd forgotten. And I'm glad I took this moment to remind you of LE SSERAFIM's popularity, because in May, they released Unforgiven, their first full album. And this thing is arguably the biggest thing LE SSERAFIM has ever released. released, okay? But we're gonna start with album sales, because this album sales were great. Right off the bat, it would earn the SSERAFIM a #1 album. It would debut atop the Gaon charts, their first ever #1 album. Lord knows it took them long enough. They just had 2 poorly timed releases, really. They could have gone #1 with their other albums, but either way, they went #1. They also saw a huge bump in first week sales. This became their first album to clear 1 million copies, doing it in the first week. Current sales sit at around 1.6 million copies in Korea, making it their highest selling album to this day. And in terms of just 2023, it was the 6th highest selling release by a girl group. Plus, just like their other albums, it did well internationally. This album would become their first to peak in the top 10 of the Billboard 200. It peaked at #6 and sold 40,000 copies. But where this thing went nuts was Japan. Unforgiven would mark LE SSERAFIM's 2nd consecutive Korean release to go #1 in Japan and sold 120,000 copies. It earned a gold certification. There's not a word of Japanese on here. There's a child wailing from upstairs. They've stopped. I hope everyone's okay. I hope we're all good. While we all calm down, I'm gonna stay in my current energy levels, and I'm gonna talk to you about Unforgiven, the song. Unforgiven, just like Anti-Fragile, would peak at #2 on both the Gaon and Melon charts. If you were wondering, if you were curious what song was #1 when it was #2, the answer is I Am by IVE. Plus, as we can expect by now, this thing had great longevity. Unforgiven would chart for 50 weeks, which is great, right? Like, that's a great number. I want to clear that up. 50 weeks on the charts is fantastic. It does mark this as the first LE SSERAFIM release to fail to clear that 52-week, that 1-year number. Turning our focus now to music shows, Unforgiven would take over as the most awarded LE SSERAFIM single and earned the group a full week sweep, which is when you win on every single show, all 6 shows. All 6 shows have to be going that week, and you have to win all 6. That is my definition of a full week sweep. And that's what they did with this song. Now let's talk international numbers, because we saw a dip. I described Anti-Fragile as their undeniable biggest hit internationally. Obviously, we were going to see a dip with whatever song was next. And also, Unforgiven still did fantastic internationally. This song has 300 million streams on Spotify. That's incredible to pull in, but like, it's also half of what their last song got. YouTube is the only real area where I'd say like we saw a real drop. To be fair, that drop is to 140 million views on the music video, but even so, it's their lowest viewed to date. It's also a great number to have. Like, LE SSERAFIM was still really popular. They just happened to follow up their biggest hit internationally. You know what? I'm a math girl. Okay, I'm a math girl. Let me use math to describe what I'm trying to say. Okay, with Anti-Fragile, if you combined all of the big 3 of streaming, to me, okay, Spotify, audio track on YouTube, music video, those 3, you got 1 billion and change, but like you got 1 billion, okay? For Unforgiven, the audio track has around 150 million, the music video also has around 150 million, we'll call it, and then streaming is about 300 million. So you combine those 3 numbers and you get around 600 million. That 600 million is still incredible to do, okay? Imagine your song gets 600 million eyes on it. Or realistically, way less than that. But like 600 million engagements with your song. That's crazy. That's incredible. It's also at the same time a 40% drop. It's like, had Unforgiven not been the follow-up to Anti-Fragile, had it even been the follow-up to Fearless, this would have been great. This would have been great numbers to pull in. It just happened to be that Anti-Fragile is that bitch. There is also another factor in why Unforgiven arguably underperformed, and we'll get to it. But first I want to talk about Unforgiven as a song, because it is also a song. As a song, Unforgiven is fine. It's good. It's good. I'd say it's good. The thing is, if we look at their first 3 singles, okay? Fearless is cool. It's chill. It's unique. Anti-Fragile is just iconic. And I feel like Unforgiven sort of tried to recreate what was great about Anti-Fragile, which is, of course, the hook. The problem is, I feel like they missed the mark with it, and it just leaves me feeling a little weird. Genuinely, the best part of the song is Nile Rodgers. The guitar on this song objectively fucks hard, okay? The rest of it is like a mix of good to fine, anywhere really in that range. There's nothing that really sticks with me about it, I guess is what I'd say. Like, I've heard better from LE SSERAFIM. Now, let's talk about the B-side, because the thing is, the title may have been a slight drop in quality, these are some of the best B-sides we've gotten from this group. We're gonna start with the songs I like least, okay? Fire in the Belly is this Latin pop song, and it's good. I want to be clear, these are good songs, but like, this one also flash forward, they lack the oomph, the impact that I want from a SSERAFIM song. Then there's Fear Not, a song written for the fans. And remember when we were talking about good parts? This song is the energy I wanted from that song. This song is gorgeous, okay? It's also really sweet. I feel like this is the most unappreciated song, dare I say, in SSERAFIM's catalog. Is it very Taylor Swift Fearless coded? Yes, it is. But I like it, and I love that album, so mind your business. However, Fear Not is not our golden B-side. Our golden B-side is No Return. So this song is pop perfection. The music is some of the best we have heard from SSERAFIM, and also some of the best we will hear from SSERAFIM. Okay, the way it just builds into the chorus before exploding into this bright, poppy fabulousness, I love it. Plus, the song itself is so fun. Okay, the verses are great. I love the music. The horns, I love it. It's so cool. It's everything I want from a pop song, and one of the best things SSERAFIM has ever released. However, those familiar with this album know that I've skipped one song. One very important song. That song being Eve Psyche and the Bluebeard's Wife, henceforth known as Eve Psyche because the full name is a real mouthful. But Eve Psyche is a hit in its own right. Like, it is not only a hit, it is a major hit in its own right after it blew up following HYBE releasing a music video for it at the end of May. This is far from the first HYBE song to get a follow-up music video type of vibe. Like, HYBE's been doing this since the Bangtan 2013 days, okay? This is common. But even for SSERAFIM, Impurity's got a music video a couple of weeks after Anti-Fragile came out. This isn't weird. What is new and what is unique is that music video causing the song to start popping the fuck off. To be fair, before I actually get into the popping the fuck off elements of it, I want to talk about the song. Because this song deserved it all and more. Okay, if I could have given this the golden B-side, if it didn't feel kind of like cheating, I would have done it. I do firmly believe that this is not only one of the best SSERAFIM songs, gun to my head, this is their best song. The music itself is nothing short of perfection. The production on this thing is very possibly the best SSERAFIM has released sitting here in 2025. Okay, it certainly was up there at the time in 2023. But it's not only that though, that's the thing. The chorus makes me foam at the mouth and go crazy. The verses are incredible. The bridge, this song even has a bridge. I don't know why HYBE is so against bridges, I will never know, but I'm so glad they broke their cardinal rule this one time to give us a bridge in the song, because the bridge is amazing. Now, let's talk the numbers, okay? Because again, this song, massive hit in its own right, and it did deserve it. We've established that. It deserved the numbers it did. For starters, it was an incredible charter. The song peaked at number 2 on the Gaon charts and number 3 on the Melon charts, outperforming Fearless. This was not a mainline single, so there's that. It also charted for over a year, their third song to do so that's fun too. Not to mention it did fantastically internationally as well. That special music video they got has 125 million views. It also has more than 250 million streams over on Spotify, and I would again like to remind the class, this was not ever meant to be an official single. Eve Psyche actually reminds me a lot of Fever by HYBE in the sense that it got that like follow-up music video treatment and became a de facto mainline single. It outperformed the original, at least in Fever's case, and it is considered a single now, like in retrospect, exclusively because it blew the fuck up. Like, had this done what Impurities did, we would have just been like, okay, they dropped a special music video. That's cute. Instead, it decided to peak at number 2 on the Gaon charts. Speaking of the charts, this is, in my opinion at least, a big reason in why Unforgiven seemingly underperformed as a single. Like, I don't think it is controversial to say that Eve and Psyche and the Bluebeard's Wife exploded onto the scene and pulled focus. It pulled focus from Unforgiven. And I do wonder, I'm like, had either A, this not happened. Had they picked a different song to give the music video for, just not done one at all. Had it not happened, would it have done better? Like, would Unforgiven have done better? I do think the answer is yes. Or alternatively, this is one that I'm actually just now thinking of, which is what would have happened had this been the mainline single at the start? And I really think it would have gone number one. Okay, that wraps up mainline Unforgiven era. We are not done, however. We now have remixes to discuss. HYBE released so many fucking remixes of this song, and I don't care about like half of them. They have 4 remixes. I'm going to talk about 2 of them. The first one is the Rina Sawayama one. It's fantastic. It's, dare I say, almost better than the original. I prefer the original. I do, just a little bit more. But, like, I actually completely forgot about this one. I did remember, like, as I was making this video and I was going through, like, just SSERAFIM on Apple Music, and I was like, they have that Rina Sawayama remix. And it was so good. Like, I remembered it being good, and then I put it on. And it outsold any expectation I had of what I remembered of this song. It's amazing. If you haven't listened to it in a while, but, like, you remember liking it, go listen to it. It's incredible. There is also a Demi Lovato remix of this song. I sit in a world and I have to think about the fact that Demi Lovato and like Sehwan have spoken. She's hung out with Sakura. They probably never met, if we're being honest. But like, that's so weird to me. That's so weird to me. I'm mainly bringing it up because it's Demi Lovato. Like, actual like hitmaker Demi Lovato, insane. It isn't as good. Like, it's good. Demi's verse is good. But it's like, the Rina Sawayama one is crazy goated. It's possibly the best remix HYBE has ever made. So, like, there's that. The Demi Lovato one just, it's like how Tux does a song with the Jonas Brothers. I don't like when my Disney world and my K-pop world overlap. It makes me question my own life in ways I'm not prepared to do. Anyway, while all the remixes were coming out, like, in that span of time, we also got Jewelry, the group's latest original Japanese song. Jewelry came out at the end of July, and I like it. It feels like a Twice song, but I like Twice songs, so I don't really care. Moving into August, SSERAFIM would launch the Flame Rises tour, their first tour, beginning with some sold-out shows in Seoul. Then, just in time for the Japanese leg of the tour, Jewelry would be combined with a Japanese version of Anti-Fragile and a Japanese version of Unforgiven to give us Unforgiven as the group's second Japanese single album. And it was another hit, not as big as their first one had been, but even so, 200,000 copies in its first week, number 2 on the charts, a platinum certification now, it still did great. Back to the tour. After the Japanese shows, they would do some more concerts. They would eventually wrap up the tour in Jakarta on October 3rd. And SSERAFIM did not get much time to rest, because within 2 weeks of the end of the tour, HYBE had announced that SSERAFIM was dropping new music. To be fair, they announced that it was a new single for Overwatch 2. But either way, on October 27th, SSERAFIM would release the one and only Perfect Night. Actually, can I sound like a crazy person? Can I sound like a lunatic for like 5 seconds? I had to debate with myself whether to give this the era slide. Okay? Because the thing is, I don't consider this a mainline SSERAFIM song. I don't. It's a, like, quasi-related work that happened to blow up. It reminds me of, like, let me think, of other artists I've made history as for. Dreams Come True by aespa. New Thing by Zico. That's a good example. New Thing by Zico. Like, released for a different piece of media. Not released as, like, music is the main thing. Right? Like, it's released for something else. And it just happened to blow up. It happened to do so incredibly well that it is now de facto, after the fact, kind of a mainline thing. Actually, can we also talk about that? Can we talk about how crazy it is that this song did everything I'm about to tell you that it did, but it did it as a song for a game? Okay? This wasn't even for an album. This wasn't meant to be a hit. God did not mean for this song to be a hit. HYBE certainly did. This was an ad for a game. For some context, okay, I would like to remind the class that New Jeans, definitely the biggest girl group, or like top 3 at the time, New Jeans, had released Gods for, what was it, League of Legends? Yes. New Jeans had released Gods for League of Legends like right before this, and it didn't even debut on the charts when it came out. It came on the charts a couple months later. And even then, it barely cracked the top 40. Like, this song was not meant to be a hit. Anyway, so Perfect Night was a massive hit. Like, a massive hit. Like, arguably, LE SSERAFIM's biggest hit, and certainly, like, top 3 biggest hits they've ever put out. For starters, it finally got them a #1 song. It actually topped both the Gaon and Melon charts for 6 weeks. I would like us to sit with that. We as a society need to sit with the fact that LE SSERAFIM spent 6 weeks at #1 with an ad for a game. But not only was it a peak, this song, the longevity, it dropped out of the top 10 of the Gaon charts in March of 2024. It did not drop off the charts. It dropped out of the top 10 of the charts in March of 2024. It charted for 53 weeks. Their 4th release to clear a year. This thing charted forever. On top of that, the song got 2 music show wins, and I know what you're thinking. You're like, Simon, their last single got 6. The one before that got 5. Even their debut got 4. Why are you telling me that this song got 2 music show wins like it's this groundbreaking thing? And the answer is that this shouldn't have gotten any wins. This song is essentially banned from winning everywhere. And yet it managed to pull in 2 wins. Like those songs I was comparing it to, Dreams Come True by aespa, no music show wins. New Thing by Zico, no music show wins. Perfect Night by LE SSERAFIM, suddenly it has 2 music show wins. The song was also a massive hit internationally to top it all off. The song has 450 million Spotify streams. It is the 2nd most streamed song by LE SSERAFIM on Spotify. Plus, between the mainline and choreography versions of the music video, they have around 200 million views. The audio track has another 170-ish, so we're back to that like a billion number. In conclusion, this song was a massive hit. This song was a beast of a hit. I think this, don't make me prove these numbers. I want to say this is the biggest hit an ad has been since Lollipop by 21 and Big Bang in 2009. If this song was everywhere, this is a real fact. This is a real fact that really happened to me. I was out with my mother one day, in recent times. Like, this happened in the last, 6 months. I was out with my mom, and we were at this diner out on the Olympic Peninsula. Okay, we're talking rural Washington. And I heard Perfect Night playing. I did a physical double take. This song has far outgrown the circle it was meant to be known by. But now things get interesting, for me. Because I got to talk about Perfect Night as a song. Remember how I said that New Jeans had released Gods and we'd be coming back to it? This is what I was referring to. This is us coming back to it. Because I've said this in other videos. This is not a new theory. You can find my review of probably this song. And I probably said it there too. I believe, in my heart of hearts, I do firmly believe this theory that at one point in time, LE SSERAFIM was meant to release Gods. And New Jeans was meant to release Perfect Night. And at some point they got flipped. And now we're here. Because this song is so New Jeans coded. This is the exact vibe they were making at this point in time. This is the Get Up EP. Okay, Perfect Night is the Get Up EP mixed with a splash of the How Sweet single. This is New Jeans. And I do firmly believe that the success Perfect Night saw by being essentially a New Jeans knockoff was a major factor in why suddenly every HYBE girl group started releasing New Jeans clones around this time. My point is, Perfect Night is responsible for the New Jeans lawsuit. At least in part. It is in part responsible in my theory, in my tinfoil headcanon, okay? Now that that's out of the way, Perfect Night as a song. Let's actually talk about Perfect Night as a song for a second. Because I said it's straight off the Get Up EP. I've also said I adore the Get Up EP. And this song is really fun. It's really cute. I do think had this been on that album, it would have been one of the weaker songs on there. But on its own, as a standalone, fun little single, it's a great time. Anyway, that wraps up 2023. Not a bad note to go out on, actually. On December 31st, 2023, I do believe they had the #1 song in Korea. Both on the Melon and all the other daily charts. So good for them. Great note to go out on. Let's head back to the retrospective corner.
So, I don't want to spoil anything, but we have now covered peak LE SSERAFIM. Obviously, LE SSERAFIM has not fallen off. Even now, I would not argue LE SSERAFIM has fallen off. But the heights they achieved in 2023 are never going to be replicated. At least in the timeline that currently exists. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. But as of right now, the concept of them dropping a random follow-up music video and it blowing up so much that it became a top 3 charter on the chart. That's crazy. And then they launched their first tour, which completely sold out. And to close out the year, they dropped a random digital single for a game, and it became a #1 hit. SSERAFIM was really on top of the world in 2023. And if I say 2023 is their peak, that just makes 2024 all of the more interesting. So let's go talk about that.
Oh god, okay. It's time for 2024. Okay, 2024 begins in January, specifically on my birthday, January 17th, when Yoonjin would feature on Yes or No by Groovy Room alongside Crush. This song, a moderate hit. I wouldn't say a big hit, but like top 40 on the charts, couple months charting, a moderate hit. And Yoonjin's presence was absolutely a factor at the time, because need I remind you, Perfect Night at this point in time was probably like #3 on the charts. It is also worth noting that Yes or No is a good song. A great song even. I actually really like it. That does make sense when you sort of pause and you think about how Groovy Room is a Sweet Tune spinoff, and I'm crazy about Sweet Tune. If you didn't know, Sweet Tune is the producers for like Infinite. Really most big Ulim artists, Snooper has a bunch of Sweet Tune. Sweet Tune makes God's work. Okay, the music from Sweet Tune is the best music ever made, and they are a Sweet Tune spin-off, so like it makes sense. Although to be fair, Groovy Room does a lot more like hip-hop kind of vibes. This is a lot poppier than their typical work actually, which is probably why I like it so much. But that was just Yoonjin, okay? And in February, we would get Easy, SSERAFIM's 3rd mini album and their first physical release in Korea in around 9 months. And once more, we're going to start with album sales, because this thing was a beast of a seller. It would earn SSERAFIM another #1 album, and has currently sold around 1.2 million copies, making it their 3rd consecutive release to clear 1 million sales. Plus, as we can expect, it did great in Japan. It went #1 there, 3rd consecutive Korean release to do so, #1 in Japan, and sold around 175,000 copies. Meanwhile, in the US, it earned them another top 10 album, and sold another 60,000 copies. So we are truly living in the best SSERAFIM album sales timeline. And then there's the single. Our first real miss as far as SSERAFIM singles go, at least for me. The album was led by the titular Easy, in case you couldn't figure that out. And it reminds me a lot of the Yoonjin songs, actually. It's a song that I appreciate a lot more than I enjoy. Because enjoy the song, I do not. I do not enjoy this song. I actually really don't. I feel like this song could have worked, because they took this like chill R&B moment, which again, could have worked. And then they threw a trap beat on there, which is heinous. That feels illegal in my mind. And then you top it all off with the singing itself. The singing feels lazy. I get that that's part of the song. That's part of the vibes. That's part of the messaging. I still don't like it. That said, the general public and I are not one and the same, because they did like it. They did enjoy it. In fact, they enjoyed it quite a bit, with the caveat that this is the least successful single we've seen from SSERAFIM to date. Cool. So, Easy would be at #3 on the Melon charts and #4 on the Melon charts. There is a part of me that does want to critique it and be like, well, their last 3 singles all peaked in the top 2, so like, do better. But also, like, it peaked in the top 5. Right, like I can't really critique. It peaked in the top 5. One area that I will actually critique, though, is its charting run. The longevity was way down with this thing. We've established that the average SSERAFIM single is like a year. Their shortest charting single up until this point is Unforgiven, and that charted for 50 weeks. Okay, so we're talking like 11 months at a minimum. This charted for 7. That said, it does kind of make up for it by being the most awarded SSERAFIM song on music shows, interestingly enough. It did drop very perfectly timed to go crazy. The only competition in terms of music shows at the time was really IU, and IU's album was not well poised to do great on music shows for 2 reasons. 1, it had a pre-release that had been a massive hit, and 2, and far more importantly, the album kind of flopped. The album kind of flopped and wasn't very good. So SSERAFIM ended up walking home with 9 music show wins for Easy. Turning to international numbers, Easy did fare a bit better, if we're being honest. Maybe not in comparison to Perfect Night, but again, Perfect Night was an ad for a game, and is not real to me. I'm comparing this to their last real single, which was Anti-Fragile, that kind of vibe, and in comparison to that, this thing did great. Easy has around 300 million Spotify streams, so about on par with Anti-Fragile, bit more than Eve Psyche. Meanwhile, on YouTube, it did see a drop, but nothing horrifying. The music video has 112 million views. Anything over 100 million, I'm willing to consider a success, so like, we're doing fine. Plus, to balance out those lower YouTube numbers, this would actually mark LE SSERAFIM's first ever appearance on the Billboard Hot 100. They did debut at number 99 and charted for 1 week, but even so, that is their first appearance. It is better than anything they've released up until this point has done. As a whole, though, if you came to me and you were like, Simon, can you qualify the success of Easy in comparison to the other mainline LE SSERAFIM singles? We're not talking Perfect Night and Ad for a Game. I would say it was a decline, right? Like, this was a decline from their last mainline release, but also it wasn't a concerning one, right? Like, we're still getting a top 5 single. We're still getting 7 months on the charts with this thing. We're still getting hundreds of millions of streams. We're still doing well. Okay, enough numbers. Let's talk B-sides. So this is LE SSERAFIM's worst album. There is a part of me that wants to call it their least good album, because I wouldn't call it a bad album, but I also wouldn't call it a good album. And their least good implies that it is good. It's fine, but it's not good. Swan Song, for example, is a fine song. Okay, it's very vocally forward, which could be nice, except the singing is like it is on Easy, and it doesn't do a ton for me. And also, LE SSERAFIM has better songs that show off their vocals. Like, there are better LE SSERAFIM vocal songs that don't sound like they're falling asleep in the booth. We Got So Much is better, but even then, it's not great to me. Like, it's nice and it's chill. It's definitely a fine song to have on in the background, but as an active listen, it's not a song I seek out, okay? So, process of elimination, our golden B-side is Smart. And to be fair, Smart is the best song on here. However, I still wouldn't call it good. It does have a great beat, I will give it that. The beat on this song is great. But the singing is still that same like uninterested kind of style. And just like with Swan Song, there are songs that have this energy from LE SSERAFIM that are better to me. So like, why would I listen to this when like Anti-Fragile is there giving me like a dance bop, or like there, maybe not Anti-Fragile. Anti-Fragile has a bit more. There are just other songs that are this vibe and better is my point. However, for once in their miserable lives, me and the HYBE execs are actually on the same page, because Smart would be chosen as the group's follow-up single for this album, with the music video coming out at the beginning of March. And Smart was a moderate hit, at least by LE SSERAFIM standards, number 8 on the GONG charts, number 9 on the Melon charts, and a charting run of around 5 months. Basically, for LE SSERAFIM, it did fine. It didn't go crazy. It is also definitely their least successful thing to have appeared on the charts. So like, we're not talking monumental numbers, but at the same time, it is their 7th top 10, so like, it's fine. Internationally is a different story. Smart went a little bananas here. It kind of popped the fuck off a little bit. The music video did surprisingly well, with more than 160 million views. Their most viewed music video since Anti-Fragile, which is so weird to think about. Don't love that. The audio track on YouTube also got around 100 million or so, and on Spotify it even outperformed Easy itself with more than 350 million streams. Now, normally in like your average promotional timeline, this is when you'd expect a tour, right? LE SSERAFIM did not do that, and instead they decided to head over to Coachella, and I want to give us all a warning right now. Okay, this is your warning. I am going to talk about the Coachella vocal scandal. I'm going to talk about it in the sense of the detrimental effect it had on their career, which was measurable, and I will be proving my points. However, if you are a person that maybe does not want to hear negative things said about LE SSERAFIM's vocals, who does not want to hear me talking about how bad of a performance this was vocally, this is your warning to leave now and be happy, because if you stay, I do not want to hear you complaining. You have been warned. Okay, cool. On that note, April 13th, LE SSERAFIM appeared on weekend 1 of Coachella. They performed, and their performance went incredibly viral for their, let's just say, less than stellar vocals. I will say, as someone who's been a K-pop fan for as long as I have, I got into K-pop in 2015, so like I've been around the block at least like a good several times. I'm an eldritch being, is my point, and in my experience, most HYBE groups are not the strongest vocally. Okay, I can think of like 3 exceptions currently under HYBE that I would consider to be like vocally strong, not just like passable singers can hold a tune, like strong vocals. And one of those is 17. They don't really count. So like my point is, piss poor live vocals is not new to HYBE. Everyone from Bangtan to Illit has had this scandal. And I know if you're like a normal person, right? Like if I went up to my mom who I do use as the metric for every single type of pop culture knowledge, because this is a woman who did not know Beyonce and Jay-Z were married until this year, thought that Rihanna was not pregnant in her Super Bowl performance. This is a woman who does not know anything about what goes on in the world, okay? If I walked up to my mother and I told her about this, she'd be like, okay, big deal. The thing is, this was a big deal. If you look at the charts and you go to the charts right after Coachella, that is when Easy started falling. Okay? Easy was like obviously declining at that point in time. This is when Easy started dropping off the charts. Okay? And obviously I've established I don't think the Easy album is very good. I've made my case. But the society disagreed with me. Society disagreed. Society streamed Easy. Easy was in the top 5 of the charts. And yet, this performance happened and it started dropping. I do believe in my heart this performance is part of why the longevity for Easy was so much lower than past singles. And I'm just gonna say LE SSERAFIM is braver than me because I am an honest soul. If I just had the entire internet telling me I couldn't fucking sing, I would go into hiding. And I already know that my job is not to sing. And I'd still go into hiding. LE SSERAFIM went on the road with their Fear Nada 2024 tour. It was actually just called the Fear Nada tour, but you may recall we had Fear Nada 2023. This is the 2024 version. They performed in Seoul and Japan. It was a quickie one, but it was fun. I say that like I was there. I was obviously not at the fan meet. I've never been to Korea. I'm not flying there for, like, I didn't fly there for an Infinite concert. I'm not flying there for fucking LE SSERAFIM. Anyway, Crazy. Crazy would be their next comeback. It came out in August and marked their 4th mini album. Now here's the thing. I am not a HYBE employee, but I do believe HYBE has never had an original thought in their lives, and I do believe that Crazy is their response to Brat. Now, Brat, you may recall, by Charlie XCX, had come out a few months earlier and went diabolically crazy, okay, diabolically viral, and was pulling in such, really not the craziest numbers, but such acclaim, and I do believe this was their version of that. They wanted those TikTok numbers, because this is very Brat coded. That said, I like Brat, and I like Crazy. It's fun, it's messy, it's EDM hyperpop. I'm never gonna be mad at EDM hyperpop. I'm always going to be craving more of it. And this is such a fun song. Like, it's catchy as hell. It's probably the catchiest title they've had since Anti-Fragile. Plus, there was the All the Girls Are Girling line, which went mega viral. And all around, Crazy did do really well internationally. It didn't hurt that it also got used in a random fucking Marvel game. I'm not asking follow-up questions, because frankly, I don't want to know. But either way, this thing did great internationally. Crazy is the 3rd most viewed LE SSERAFIM music video to this day, and their most viewed in years, with more than 165 million views. Spotify, meanwhile, saw about 350 million streams, so again, upper edge of like standard LE SSERAFIM, but still good, still strong. And to top it all off, another Hot 100 appearance, this time not at number 99, they made it to number 76. We're making progress. However, while Crazy was popping off internationally, domestically, she was, dare I say, floundering. Crazy is by far and by a wide margin the least successful single LE SSERAFIM has ever released, domestically speaking. You may recall, before you look at these numbers, don't look at the numbers, but you may recall every other LE SSERAFIM song has peaked in the top 10. Okay, we've gotten non-stop top 10s, nothing but a top 10. So Crazy peaked to number 22 on the GOG charts. That's not great. Not even a top 20, but not like the worst. It's a top 25. You're in the top quarter of the charts, right? Then there's the Melon charts. Melon charts barely cracked the top 50. Number 48 on the Melon charts. That's bad. That's officially bad. Plus, as one can expect from such a low peak, the longevity plummeted with this song. Even if we want to say that Smart is a real SSERAFIM mainline single, which would make it the shortest charting run, it still charted for like 5 months. It got around, I think it got 22 weeks, I want to say, on the charts. I'm guessing at that number. I know it was 5 months. Let's call it 22 weeks. Okay? This got 13 weeks. That is a 4-month charting run. No, I lied, that's 3 months. 3-month charting run. 3-month charting run. And to top it all off, there's music shows to discuss. Now, LE SSERAFIM, with like 2 exceptions, they're not huge on music shows, right? They're not pulling in triple crowns by any means. And the thing is that this song got 4 wins on music shows, okay? 3 of those were on M Countdown. And the thing with M Countdown in the modern day is it kind of isn't canon. They do, legally speaking, have a chart. And that chart is, on occasion, accurate. But if there was a HYBE release that week, best believe they're going to take home the win on M Countdown. Almost every time, okay? And the thing is, every once in a while they are, right? Like, I'd give Crazy 1 win on M Countdown. I'd believe that. 3 wins? No. You're just going with it at this point. In short, though, this song did not do well. Dare I say it did quite poorly for LE SSERAFIM, like for what one could expect from a LE SSERAFIM single, which at this point was pretty solidly a top 10 and 6 months on the charts. To go from that to number 48 on the Melon charts, and half that charting run, we're not looking too good. I will say it is worth noting, this album did drop like at the peak of the HYBE Minheejin war. Okay, like, for some context, this album came out on August 30th. 2 weeks after that, Minheejin was formally fired by HYBE, and 2 weeks after that is when NewJeans publicly sided with her. So, like, there was a lot going on with HYBE at the time that I do think was a factor in why this underperformed. I do think there were other factors like Coachella. It was also a busy comeback week, if I recall correctly. But, like, none of that matters. The song still flopped. But you may be wondering, the single was struggling. How was the album doing? And I'll answer that question right now. The album did well, but was a decline from past releases. Like, the album sold 850,000 copies. A great number. A fantastic number. Also, 300,000 copies less than their last album had sold. It also peaked lower. It peaked at number 2 on the charts. Their first in around a year to not go number 1. But also, it got beaten by Z-Bone, which I find interesting, but we're not going to get into it right now. Also, while Crazy, the song, was doing great internationally, Crazy, the album, became our first release to see a sales drop in terms of its Japanese numbers. But, like, it still did well, of course. Like, I'm not trying to belabor the point. It did well in Japan. It was number 2 on the charts, sold 120,000 copies. It did great, except their last album had gone number 1 and sold 150,000. Really, the only area where album sales stayed relatively stable was the US, which makes sense. It was number 7 on the Billboard 200 and sold about the same as their last album, so it stayed good somewhere. Then there's the B-sides, and I don't like this album very much, guys. Piero is, so there's one part of the song I like. There's this part where the vocals are really orchestral, and the music is orchestral, and it's very orchestral. And I like that. The rest of the song, I don't want to say it's giving TikTok brain rot. So I'm just going to end my sentence here. There's also Crazier, which is nice. It's very vocal forward in a way that I like. I think the vocals are really good in it, which is interesting based off recent scandals, but even so, I think they sound good. I think they sound nice. I think they're lacking the emotion that makes a song like this really hit for me. Then there's our golden B-side, 1-800 Hot and Fun. And I would like to be clear, this isn't a great song, right? I do think it's fun. I do enjoy my time listening to it. I don't think it's objectively good music, right? Like, it reminds me of Queen Card a lot. Like, the kind of Messy Boots pop fun. Not in the way that, like, Anti-Fragile is Messy Boots pop fun, but, like, the kind where the song itself isn't very good, but you still have a good time listening to it. As expected, Crazy get a bunch of remixes. So did Smart and Easy. I just didn't talk about them because I didn't care about them. I do care about one of these, which is the Pink Panthers remix, and it's great. Pink Panthers eats on it. Obviously she does. It's Pink Panthers on a hyperpop beat. What do you expect? November, meanwhile, got us some Japanese content with the release of Star Signs. It was an ad. It was an ad. It's also good, and probably the best single they released this year. It also served as the pre-release for their upcoming Japanese single, Crazy, which featured Japanese versions of Crazy and Easy. The single did well generally, but not for LE SSERAFIM. It peaked at number 2 on the charts and sold 150,000 copies. And like, I could list several groups where if you told me their Japanese single peaked at number 2 on the charts and sold 150,000 copies, I'd be thrilled. I'd be delighted. Unfortunately, this is LE SSERAFIM. That is 100,000 sale drop from their last album. Anyway, that's it for 2024. The tonal difference in the end of 2023 and the end of 2024 is fascinating, but let's go to the retrospective corner.
So, remember how I said that 2023 is the peak of LE SSERAFIM? 2024 is the downfall of LE SSERAFIM. I would like to preface everything I'm about to say by reminding the class I compare groups to themselves. I compare the success of LE SSERAFIM singles to the success of other past LE SSERAFIM singles. LE SSERAFIM exists, in my mind, in terms of floppage, exclusively with their own releases. Okay, I do not compare them to New Jeans, I do not compare them to HYBE, I do not compare them to aespa. I don't care what the other girl groups were doing. I compare them to themselves. So when I say they flopped, I mean they flopped by their own standards. With that reminder, LE SSERAFIM flopped hard this year. Easy was fine. Easy did fine. I think had Smart not been like sort of destined to be compared to Eve's Psyche, it wouldn't have been that bad. But it's like when your follow-up single becomes a top 10, but your last one became a top 3 and charted for a year, your top 10 that charted for 5 months isn't gonna compare. And then of course we have Crazy. Crazy, which is, by various metrics, the least successful release from a HYBE debuted girl group. However, not only were the numbers declining in 2023, I actually do stand by their music God Wars. I know I said it when I talked about both of the albums that they released this year, but like, the music wasn't good. The music from LE SSERAFIM used to be maybe not fantastic, not my favorite girl group music, but good. If nothing else, the titles used to be good. And then suddenly something shifted. My favorite release from LE SSERAFIM in 2023, my favorite single if nothing else, is a pre-release ad they released in Japan. Okay, by all metrics, that should not have been my favorite song. It's just that the music was declining. And I'm conflicted about this, right? I do firmly believe artists should be allowed to make the music they want to make. I'm operating under the assumption this is the music they want to make. It's probably not, frankly, knowing HYBE. Either way. I am conflicted because on the one hand, I do want them playing around with their sound. I don't want them making Anti-Fragile for the next 3 years. That is not what I crave. I want variety, and I like the experimentation. I do firmly believe they are the most experimental girl group under HYBE, if not group overall. And yet, at the same time, I look at other artists. I look at artists like Just Be that can play around with their sound and still give me high quality music with every release. I don't know. I'm conflicted. Now let's talk about 2025.
Alrighty. Welcome to 2025, the current year, as of me sitting here filming this, and presumably as of probably most of you watching it. I would assume, I don't know how the future's gonna go, but either way, current year for me, if nothing else. And we actually start with a bit of quiet time, so I'm gonna fast forward. So, March 14th, LE SSERAFIM would release Hot, their 5th mini-album, along with its lead single, Hot! And once more, I actually do want to start with the single, because I have one very important question in regards to this song. Why the fuck did they drop this in March? Because Hot is honestly great. Hot is actually really good. It has this nice chill energy to it, but still poppy. It has summer vibes as well. I think this should have come out in June. I really do. I think this should have come out in June. I think had this come out in summer, it would have done really well. That said, HYBE did see a massive boost on the charts. It would peak at number 9 on the Gaon charts. Their first top 10 in nearly a year. It did peak a bit lower on the Melon charts. On the Melon charts, it peaked at number 12, so not another top 10, but also way better than their last song, like 36 spots higher. So I'm not gonna complain. We are well on our way to SSERAFIM reclaiming past heights. Streaming numbers are a bit more complicated because, and I'll admit this is my own fault, I've gotten flack in the past that I look at streaming numbers for the most recent song in the same way I look at the streaming numbers for like their whole catalog, and that isn't fair. It's true, I was right to get yelled at. That isn't fair because Hot is a lot newer than all the other songs. Like, all the other songs have at least a year of release to pull in streams. Hot doesn't have that, so it's not surprising that the streams for Hot are a lot lower. However, as of right now, me sitting here right now on, what is today? On October 16th, Hot has around 120 million streams, which isn't bad. But I do know one thing, because I looked this up. It took Crazy about 3 months to hit 100 million streams, and it took Hot 5 months. And I don't think Hot is going to get nearly as close to other SSERAFIM releases. Like, this is definitely going to probably go down as, at least amongst everything they've released up until this point in the time, their least streamed song. As a whole, though, I have always firmly said that domestic success matters far more than international ones, at least for me. And it did way better domestically than their last song did. So I don't really care that streaming took a hit. Unfortunately, while I do stand by domestically, single, far better, the album, not as much. Hot did peak at number 1, their number 1 album, love to see it, but the sales took another hit. This album has sold about 700,000 copies as of right now. Again, not bad. Fantastic even. Like, if your random girl group walked up to me and was like, we just sold 700,000 copies with our album, I'd be like, I love that for you. I love that for Stacey. Unfortunately, this is SSERAFIM, and that is still a pretty big drop from their last album. Thankfully, international numbers at least seem to have sort of steadied out. Japan, number 2 again, about 100,000 copies, not bad, but a bit of a drop. US is fine. US, I think it was number 9 or something. It was in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 and sold another 40,000 copies, about the same as their last like 3 or 4 had sold in the US. So we've leveled out US numbers. But enough numbers, let's talk music. Because remember how I said Hot the Song is their best song since Anti-Fragile, or at least my favorite? Same thing with the album, at least since Unforgiven for the album, because they really did bring their A game to this. There's Come Closer, it's over there. Come Closer, which was the follow-up single for the album, and it's amazing. It's this chill, like, funky song, but still poppy in a great way. It reminds me, you know what song it reminds me of? That Rebel Just for Kick song, but I can't remember the name of now. But that song, it might just be called Rebel Just for Kick. Well, that song, it reminds me of that if it was like a little bit poppy. The album's closer, So Cynical, is also fantastic. It's a lot softer as far as pop songs go. Plus, the weird vocal effects should piss me off, and yet I adore them. And then there's our golden B-side, Ash. That might be the best SSERAFIM song that is in no way, shape, and form a single. It's actually insane to me personally that that isn't considered a better song. Like, that people aren't talking about it as if it wasn't this like groundbreaking thing for SSERAFIM, because it is. I'd put it like top 5 best SSERAFIM songs in general. And SSERAFIM is a group where I do think their singles are their strongest work, but like, that song is crazy. The production is so good. It's so cool. It's such a good song. I cannot believe we do not get more discussion of it. In short, iconic. Iconic, fantastic, very possibly their best album, actually, now that I think about it. Definitely their most cohesive sounding, and I would like to remind you, Hot sounds like summer. Which brings me back to my original question, why the fuck did they drop this in March? As we know to expect, following promotions we actually got a tour. This time it was the Easy, Crazy, Hot tour that, if you couldn't figure that out, promoted Easy, Crazy, and Hot. The tour would begin in April in Seoul before heading over to Japan in May and June for a full-fledged Japanese leg. And just as they were wrapping up their Japanese leg, we would get Different, their 4th Japanese single album and their first to be led by an original Japanese song. And I'm just gonna say it, Different the song is incredible. It's amazing. It's this funky banger. I love it. It's another song where I'm like, why are we as a society not talking about this more. Different also did well, like as far as sales and shit. At least it did as well as the last one did, I should say. I should specify these things. It did as well as their last single had done. It did number 2 on the charts, 250,000 copies sold. July and August saw more shows. They did a full US leg at one point. They did shows in Mexico City. They were bopping around up until September, which brings us to October, current month and current day. Current day of posting October 24th, when SSERAFIM released Spaghetti, their first single album. Now, obviously, I cannot give you numbers about this album. This album does not exist as of me sitting here, or at least it does not exist in a way I can experience. So I don't know how it did. I am curious, because we've had a mixed bag from SSERAFIM in terms of numbers, and also single albums tend to do uniquely poorly with sales, but we can get a hit off them, so I'm curious. Anyway, that's all the lore up until this point in time. But we're not actually done because we gotta look ahead really quick. November sees SSERAFIM officially wrapping up the Easy Crazy Hot tour, as far as we know, with 2 final shows at the Tokyo Dome. If I had to guess what's gonna come after that, I'm guessing that's November. They'll be quiet for December and probably January. I'm guessing encore shows in February, and then another album, I'm guessing a full in March or April. That is my theory as of right now. However, only time will tell. And until then, this has officially been the history of SSERAFIM. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I did have fun. I have been sitting here now for 3.5 hours. My god, my food's almost here also. I ordered dinner. So we gotta wrap this up quick. But thank you so much for watching. These videos are truly the most fun things that I make for me. I love making them. And I hope you like them. If you do, like and subscribe. Or don't. I still don't make any money off this channel. I've been saying this in every video because someone once commented something about money on one of my videos, so I now feel the need to specify every time. I don't make any money from this channel. I don't have 1,000 subscribers. I do this for the love of the game and to put myself psychologically through the ringer. So I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe if you want to or don't. I'll be fine either way. You can also comment whatever you want down below. Also down below, in the description more accurately, I will put all of my SSERAFIM reviews. They will all be down there, along with a playlist that has all of my history ups. I've been doing them monthly for like 2 years now, and I've done some before that. So there's a lot of videos in there, and they are almost entirely long bitches, okay? The longest one is like 4.5 hours. The shortest one that is a slideshow, I believe, is like 45 minutes. They vary in length. Watch them if you so choose. Cherry pick which groups you want to learn about. I've done the whole spectrum. I've talked about fucking Hot, that first generation group. I've made videos about Hayes and Zico, and then like classic idol groups. I've talked about Stacy. I've talked about Espa. I have a list of groups I want to do so bad. I know who's next. I already know who's next. I'm not telling you. It will be a surprise, but think like Halloween if you want a hint. It's gonna be fun. I am excited for it. I'm almost done with it. Or at least with the notes for it. Other than that, I think that's all I got. My food is almost here. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Bye!